either the boys from South Carolina or the guys from Tampa will be one win away from Williamsport. Welcome to ESPN's coverage of the Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Today it's semifinal number 1 from the Southeastern Regional in Warner Robins, Georgia, as South Carolina takes on Florida. In this division, we'll see a 6-inning game in regulation, 60 feet between bags, and the players are within the range of 11 to 13 age-wise. What we're playing for in this game this afternoon: the winner goes to the championship and gets a bye from tomorrow's game. The loser plays the team from Mechanicsville, Virginia, tomorrow at 3 p.m. Thanks for joining us. Jason Benetti with 12-year big league catcher Mike LaValliere. You've seen this regional all the way through. What's it been like?
Well, I tell you one thing. The community of Warner Robins, Georgia, has rolled out the red carpet with Southern hospitality. And I tell you, this ballpark at Southeast Park is not a blade of grass out of place. It is a fabulous venue for this game.
Saw you helping out the grounds crew. Tampa is 3-1 so far in this tournament. What will we see from Keystone Little League?
Well, physically, they're probably the smallest team in the tournament, but they make it up with athleticism. They pitch well, they play good defense, they run the bases, hit line drives everywhere.
Taylor, South Carolina, has won its 2 games 27-6 combined. A dangerous team overall.
Well, they are. They swing the bats well, but for me, it's a gamble. They're using their second best pitcher, Braden Buffington, rather than Alex Edmondson, their number 1. We'll see if that gamble pays off.
With a win today, South Carolina or Florida will be just around the corner from Williamsport. We'll meet the teams coming up after this.
ESPN's coverage of the Little League World Series is presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes cereal. They're great! And in part by Coldwell Banker, where home begins.
We're in Middle Georgia, south of Atlanta. The fans are filing in. A little scouting for the Virginia team as well as Taylor, South Carolina takes on Tampa, Florida for a chance at the championship game in 2 days. Taylor, South Carolina, about 106 miles northwest of Columbia, a suburb of the Greenville-Spartanburg area, and just sub 22,000. And let's take a moment and say hello to the boys from Taylor, South Carolina.
Hi, my name is Kevin Tumlin, manager, Northwood Little League. Brad Johnson, coach.
Brian Williams, coach.
Gage Lehman, my favorite player is Manny Machado.
David Mershon, my favorite player is Chris Bryant.
Braden Buffington, my favorite player is Craig Kimbrell.
Ryan Saug, my favorite player is Bryce Harper.
Pete Williams, my favorite baseball player is Freddie Freeman. Ben Tillman, my favorite baseball player is Derek Jeter.
Kip Johnson, my favorite baseball player is Colt Byers.
Terrence Gibbs, my favorite player is Bo Jackson.
Brock Myers, my favorite baseball player is Jose Bautista. David Clark, my favorite baseball player is Todd Frazier.
Alex Evans, my favorite baseball player is Troy Tulowitzki.
Ryan Chapman, my favorite player is Mike Trout. Braden Gliskin, my favorite baseball player is Buster Posey.
Bradley Lewis, and my favorite baseball player is Jose Abreu.
A vote for Todd Frazier, former Little League World Series hero himself. And as you look at the starting lineup from Taylor, South Carolina, the big boppers are the 3 and 4 spot, Terrence Gist and Alex Edmondson, who have had a fantastic tournament power-wise and average-wise so far. A couple of dangerous hitters balancing a 1 through 9 that can hurt you all the way down through the lineup. As we take a look at 12-year-old Keaton Howard, who's starting for Tampa.
Well, Keaton, you're going to be able to tell what kind of game he is by the way he starts. If he starts off good, we'll see him for a majority of the game. If not, I think they're going to make a quick pick out of him. He's a middle 60s guy and throws a curveball.
You're a middle 60s guy, too, music taste-wise. But what's it like for these players? Big stage, semifinal round. What's the pressure like?
Well, I can tell you from first-hand experience, this, butterflies, and adrenaline. Adrenaline is a big, big key to this ball game, and being able to control that here, especially early.
Here is Gage Lehman, the 13-year-old, who's only made 1 out so far here in Warner Robins, as he's down in the count 0-2 to start. Lehman 4 for 5, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs. He's walked twice, sees a lot of pitches.
Yeah, this whole tournament, this team from South Carolina hitting almost 500 as a team. So each and every one of them, 1 through 9, plus their bench, all of them come up there and they just rake.
Well, they've made lemonade for Gage, one of 10 Lehman kids. Strike 3, nice start for Keaton Howard, a 4-pitch strikeout. Well, it's a sticky day here in Georgia. Some rain possibly in the forecast, hoping to dodge that rain bullet near 90 degrees. You had some rain a couple days ago early on in the tournament, did you?
Yeah, just prior to the onset of this tournament, we had about 3 inches of rain, and this field took it like it was nothing. Again, I can't say enough about this playing surface. I don't think I was on this kind of field until I made it to the big leagues.
Strike 1 to David Mershon. That's high praise. You play in a lot of places.
You know, and it really, it's the honest truth. I mean, there's no bad hops out there. The infield is just immaculate. The clay, no bumps, no nothing. It's just, again, the finest Little League facility that I've personally seen.
Built in 2010 as the Southeastern Regional moved here to Warner Robins, Georgia. Mershon right back to Keaton Howard, who fields the position well, and 2 down.
Well, Keaton Howard here, throw it, get in like a fielder, just like an infielder, makes a nice, easy play. Looks like Keaton Howard handling the pressure pretty well, and it was one of the things that they were very concerned about. His start is usually just paramount as far as whether he's going to last. And right now, off to a good start, but he's getting to the meat of the South Carolina order.
Here's Terrence Gist, who's got a home run already here in Warner Robins. He's driven in 2, scored 3 times. 5'9", 185 at 12 years old. Behind the fastball, 0-2.
That is pretty interesting in our meeting today with the coaches. Jackson, the head coach of Tampa, really feels that he has a nice scouting report on this South Carolina team, and they're really going to go after it. Their key is going to be hitting their spots. They don't have a lot of velocity on their staff, but really are all about the control.
And that one hits Gist on 0-2. Now they're going to say it was a foul ball off the handle of the bat. The umpires will discuss it.
Yeah, maybe a situation where the wrist, the bottom of the hand, the knob of the bat, they're all in the same spot. And usually if it does hit wrist or hand first, you see a big cringe there. He keeps his hand on the bat. I got a real foul ball. I think Bill Vacara, the home plate umpire, I think he got it right. But what I really love about this, the umpires all get together.
Let's take a listen. That sound like bat to you?
That sounded like bat to me. I've heard a lot of guys get hit with pitches being a catcher, and it doesn't sound quite like that. There's usually a thump involved and then a from the batter. Usually the is the one that really gives it away.
That's the telltale sign.
That's it. That's it.
Gist back in after he was checked out briefly. Slow tapper. Howard has to stick it in his pocket. Tough play to make. Infield single for Gist. Again, this is a quick strike offense for South Carolina with 27 runs in 2 games so far here in Warner Robins.
Yeah, look at Gist. Again, doesn't get a good part of it. Look at him. On his horse. No chance at all. I don't care if that's a 90-foot base. He's not going to get him. The young man can absolutely fly.
He's a football running back as well. He was telling us earlier today, and he got down that 60-foot line very quickly. Here's Alex Edmondson, who's got a couple of home runs here in Warner Robins so far in the Southeastern Regional. Well, we talked about in the open, you had mentioned that maybe Alex Edmondson could be an option for them on the mound today. They've decided against it.
Well, he's their number one, and from what I've seen, he's probably the very best player in the tournament. By far the most velocity. He touches 80, even gets into the low 80s with his fastball. That is Aroldis Chapman type numbers. I mean, the equivalency of an over 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So, I mean, this is, to me, you got to win today, and then, you know what, deal with Sunday. But, you know, I'm up here in the booth. Their manager's the one that's doing the gambling.
Strike 3, nice job by Howard with bookend strikeouts here in the first inning. We'll hear from the Florida team coming up after this. Goes to the regional final coming up on Thursday. South Carolina and Florida no score through the top of the first. And Tampa, Florida, Keystone Little League. That's a very important town baseball-wise in the United States. You see the names: Doc Gooden, Tino Martinez, Fred McGriff, Gary Sheffield, and some possible future major leaguers in this group from Tampa.
My name is Jay Jackson. I'm the manager of Keystone Little League.
Matt Caswell, coach. Bob Noah, coach.
Justin Owen, my favorite baseball player is Evan Longoria.
Joey Johnston, and my favorite player is Derek Jeter.
Bobby Christie, my favorite player is Bo Jackson.
Tyler Korish, my favorite baseball player is David Price. Ezra Brennan, my favorite baseball player is Evan Longoria.
Keaton Howard, my favorite baseball player is Eric Howard.
Dominic Falson, my favorite player is Ben Zobrist.
Austin Grouse, my favorite player is Derek Jeter.
Ryan Lauder, my favorite baseball player is Kevin Kiermaier.
Jake Castle, my favorite player is Buster Posey. Chase Jackson, my favorite player is Dustin Pedroia.
Carson Stryker, my favorite baseball player is Ted Williams.
Brett Schessler, my favorite player is Gil Patterson.
Oh, the history. Ted Williams from Mr. Stryker. Here's the starting lineup for Tampa. A very athletic team, the coaching staff says. Tyler Korish has been important in that 3-spot, couple of extra base hits so far in the tournament, and they say the bottom of the order can help flip it back to the top as well. So a deep lineup too for Tampa here in the semifinal round, and they will face 13-year-old Braden Buffington in his second start so far here in Warner Robins.
Well, Braden came in relief in game 2 and did a fabulous job. He's in the upper 60s, may touch 70 with a slider. Most of these young pitchers have curveballs. His is a little bit quicker, a late breaker, tough pitch to recognize.
So Buffington, who essentially is the guy to try and get it to Edmonton with a hypothetical win today to avoid playing the team from Virginia that's taking this all in. The losing team today will play Virginia tomorrow in the 3 Eastern game in the next semifinal, and those kids have challenged Spanky LaValliere to a race. He has declined so far.
Yeah, we're going to need more cardboard and some more water.
Like Richard Dreyfuss said, we're going to need a bigger boat. So Tampa to the bat rack with Grouse, Howard, and Korish. The top of the card for the team from Florida. It's a 6-inning game regulation. And we'll get into some of the rules differences from your typical Major League game if you're used to watching Major League Baseball throughout the telecast. But one of the keystones of it is that everybody's got to play that's here on the roster. And Tampa's short a couple of players due to injury. There's that breaking ball to Grouse, 1-1.
Austin Grouse made some fabulous defensive plays in the field at short so far this week. A couple of big hits. Also seen him on the mound. This young man is very, very versatile and very emotional. You got to think one of their leaders, and they go how he goes.
Strike 2 on Grouse, who wants to wish his father Wayne a happy birthday, taking the game in at home. There's strike 3, went off speed, and Grouse looks at the strikeout to start the first. We were talking about how everybody needs to get into the game. The rules are different depending on your roster size. So South Carolina is playing under bullet point number 2 there, 13 or 14 players. Every player's got to bat once. Tampa, short a man, couple men. Everybody's got to get in for an at-bat as Howard singles, and they've got to play 6 consecutive outs defensively. So that's something to watch throughout the later innings and substitution pattern. So Keaton Howard now 5 for 8 as he gets on the base path to help himself. He's the starting pitcher today for Tampa.
This Tampa team with not a lot of home run power, but good gap power. And they run the bases extremely well. They're very, very aggressive. They're all about going first to third on base hits. They practice it a lot, and I've seen just some fabulous heads-up base running from these young boys.
How early do you feel like the fundamentals of baseball should be in a player. How early did you learn those basics?
As far as the base running thing goes, I learned them early, and then I got slow. So I couldn't utilize what I learned. But having said that, I don't think you can start too soon. I think you develop good habits when you first start playing. As long as it's fun and you're learning, I think that's what it's all about.
There's a strike into Courage, 2-1. Speaking of fun, Tyler Courage normally wears number 14 for David Price, but he was gone when they picked their numbers, so the guy at first, Keaton Howard, took the number from him and won't give it back.
Well, and Keaton Howard's a little bigger, too. so you know, hey, it's one of those things, the little guy loses. I'm used to that.
I have a feeling you got your way in the clubhouses that you were in for the most part.
Well, let's just say there are times whenever I could play somebody against somebody else and end up rerouting things. Yeah, hey, if it wasn't good, I had to be tricky.
Play some angles. Just down low outside, 3-2 on Korish.
Korish has shown some nice opposite field power. There we go. Team from Florida. Displaying it loud and proud.
Ball 4, 2 on, 1 out. And the question remains, have you ever painted any words or letters on your chest?
Couldn't find enough paint. Nope. No, I think it's pretty cool, but yeah, those days of if there was ever going to be, those are long gone.
You would have been the FL.
Yeah, I was going to say, I could have been both sides of the O. They keep telling me, hey, you got to get in shape. I tell them, round is a shape.
2 on, 1 out for Louder. Up the middle and through past Edmondson. Bases loaded now for Tampa.
Well, that's something that we have not seen all week. Alex Edmondson, an outstanding shortstop. And this way, he just kind of looks like tries to get 2 before he gets 1. Here, a little in-between hop. He's ready to go step on second and turn it over. And now doesn't get the glove down. Again, trying to do too much, too quick.
So if you were doing that better, one step above, what would your advice be?
At this level, 60 feet, bases, make sure you get the first out. If you get 2, that's a huge bonus. But any ball that's not hit hard, we haven't seen, even with this great fielding, we haven't seen a lot of double plays.
So bases loaded now for Brennan, the catcher for the Florida team, and he's got an 0-2 count in front of him. Breaking ball gets strike 3, so 2 down for Buffington here in the first and a big second out.
And this is all about pitching ahead. You have the 0-2 count, and now he comes with that hard slider. Comes in, you read fastball as a hitter. It's in the zone. Before you know it, you're swinging at it, and it's too far out. Can't reach it.
So here's the right fielder, Brett Schessler, and he takes ball number 1.
And I tell you, Jace, this tournament has been full of 2-out runs. The other teams, they've worked hard, and then all of a sudden somebody comes up and has delivered, and it's been a key point of every game how many 2-out hits that we've seen.
Well, we've seen this Tampa team in a couple of close games. 4-run spreads. There's ball 2 to Schessler. South Carolina hasn't really had a tight one so far.
Well, since they started playing. I mean, they've got the least amount of runs that they've had is 9. So it's hard to, you know, with the pitching that they have, which is excellent, to even have a close game. So as things progress, it remains to be seen. Maybe a little pressure. We are not sure how the South Carolina team is going to be able to react to that.
3-1 count here. And Buffington pours in a strike, 3-2. In the air, left side. And a foul ball. Lehman gave it everything. and got a piece of it, but couldn't haul it in. Heck of an effort from Lehman.
Outstanding. He had a long way to go, got a good jump on the ball. Just didn't stay up in the air long enough. We'll take a look and see him going after it, leaving the feet, get horizontal. All he ends up with grass stains.
Three-two. Got strike three. So bases loaded, one out jam, and Buffington fans two to keep zeros on the scoreboard. South Carolina and Florida. The winner goes to the championship game. Buffington keeps it deadlocked through one.
Something that no other team can provide but you guys. That's pride. We get one shot to get it right. We get one shot, so hold on tight. We get one shot, so you had the whole place jumping. Wanna know why? They're like sportsmen. They're like guys who don't quit. They're like guys who play the game the right way. That's us. We'll be the boys of summer.
Now, talking to these teams today, the one thing that hits you about both of them is they just love playing baseball with each other. They rag on each other, they have a good time, and one of them maybe will head to Williamsport. Here are the tickets already punched. Asia Pacific, the Caribbean, all the way down to Australia. Canada will be decided on August the 16th as we hit the second inning here. But, you know, you play Little League. What's it like to be here, and what's it like to be in a group that you like playing with?
Yeah, I mean, just right now, this is the purest form of baseball that you can have.
That's a rocket to second base for Buffington, and he's on to start the second inning.
Well, Chase Jackson, little second baseman, has done a pretty good job so far. This one he kind of gets out of the way of a little bit. Braden Buffington, good-sized kid, hits this ball right on the nose. It's one of those plays, if you can possibly keep that ball in the middle of your body, get the glove on the ground, that way it can't get under you. And obviously, a lot easier said than done. Anybody that's had a bad hop come up and hit them, you get a little gun shy, but you know what? This infield is perfect. If you're ever going to do it, you got to do it here.
Very well manicured grass here in Warner Robins as Galinsky has the count 0-2, and Braden Galinsky might end up being an agent somewhere. He was chiming in on just about everybody's comments this morning. He's a team spokesman, certainly the 13-year-old who's had a great trip to Warner Robins at 3 for 5. Third baseman Noah charges and gets the lead runner. Nice play by the Tampa third baseman Justin Noah.
And I really think that Justin Noah, that was his only play. This ball hit right off the end of the bat by Galinsky. Nice job coming over getting it. I thought the toss was just a little bit too soft, but it's just enough to get on it to get Buffington.
So one down as Noah's counterpart, Kip Johnson, comes up, the 12-year-old third baseman. Well, you talked about it with the manager of the Tampa team, Jay Jackson, and his scouting. Talking to his coaches, they said they've never seen anybody scout like Jay does with how much he watches and how finely he watches it.
Well, he's looking at a number of different things. He's looking at where the guys are in the box in relation to the plate, whether they're off the plate, whether they're on top of the plate. They're looking, front of the box, back of the box, all kinds of different things.
Johnson places one down the right field side, and 2 on with 1 out for the dangerous South Carolina offense. Number 11 makes the family proud there.
Take a peek at here, the swing, ball outside, stays back on it, and the key to hitting the ball the opposite field is letting you get a little bit deeper. As soon as you reach out for it, that's when you roll over and hit the ground ball. But there you saw perfect hitting on that particular pitch.
4th hit for Kip Johnson here in Warner Robins. Now 2 on for Tumblin, and the count 0-1.
As we get down to the bottom of the order, 8, 9, a lot of thinking is, you know what, these are the guys that can't hit. Keep in mind, they're all all-stars. They're the very best of their leagues and the very best of their state. So all these guys can hit.
Foul ball 0-2 on Tumblin. When you're down 2 strikes in a situation where you've not seen the other pitcher before, what's your approach here?
Well, it's my approach that I advise all hitters. I try to protect the fastball away. What that does, that allows my front shoulder to stay in on the ball, and if they do happen to throw the breaking ball, I'm in the best position in order to hit it. If I'm happen to look for something inside, they throw it outside, I basically have no chance. So my advice, don't get beat with the fastball away.
1-2. Strike 3, got him in the outside corner. 2 down for Williams, and a chance still to drive in the game's first run. Don't forget, you can join the conversation on Twitter for the 2015 Little League World Series at BBTN, or log on to Facebook.com/ESPN Baseball Tonight and like the page. You can join us for all of our coverage leading up to Williamsport and the Little League World Series between August 20th and 30th.
That was a great example. First pitch breaking ball to number 9 of Jay Jackson's scouting report.
Right side and off the glove of Jackson, but he keeps it near the infield, and no run comes across.
Well, much tougher play than the first one. Chase Jackson going to his left on that ball. Just got enough of it. Not enough to get it in the glove and make the play. Here we see it. And he reaches out. Yeah, maybe if he was 5 feet tall, he's got a chance, but not quite. But what he does, he stays after it. He doesn't sulk. He goes, gets the ball, and really saves a run.
How hard was it for you to put a play behind you, even within a play?
At age 12? Oh, no, I still had the temper tantrums. Oh, yeah, no, it was something that I want to say work in progress, that I wasn't making much progress, but eventually the maturity, you realize you prepare as best as you can, you give 100%, and you know what, there's nothing more that you can do. So it's just basically learn from your mistakes, don't dwell on them.
So they had the bulletins out at North Little League around the ballparks?
Well, let's just say that my temperature gauge got a little warm at times.
So bases loaded, 2 out. Keaton Howard, who had a great start, trying to settle in for the top of the card. And Lehman will come out of the game for a pinch hitter. Chapman in, Lehman out, and a tapper back to the mound. Howard finishes the deal in the second inning. So Keaton Howard works over a jam. Still no score. Winner goes to the title game, and Warner Robins, and they're fired up. Mike LaValliere in third in line at that concession stand. You can't see where sprung. Oh, no, he's not. He's sitting right here next to us. No scores. South Carolina and Florida, bottom of the second inning. And here's everybody that's been here in the Southeastern Regional. First of all, it's one of 8 regions in the U.S. regional pool feeding into Williamsport. And in the Southeastern, we've seen these 2 teams from South Carolina and from Florida, Wilson, North Carolina, Bridgeport, Nashville, a team that we've seen go to the Little League World Series twice in a row, Peachtree City, Phoenix City, and Mechanicsville, who we'll see in action coming up tomorrow. And here are the standings of the Southeastern Regional, with these 2 teams unbeaten, and Mechanicsville having taken the 1 loss to Tampa a couple of days ago. And Nashville had been 3 straight years the Tennessee team had gone to the Little League World Series, but finally got bounced in pool play. So now, here we are, no scores, second inning, and a first pitch strike from Buffington to Jake Caswell to start this second inning. 0-2.
Well, both teams have, let's say, knocked on the door. They weren't able to come up with the big hit thus far, but both of them maybe a little sputtering, maybe some semifinal jitters. And I would not take that pitch again. Awfully close.
2 balls and 2 strikes. So these 2 teams make it here out of that modified double elimination tournament and end up in the semifinal round. So you win today, you go to the finals. You lose today, you still play another day. That would be tomorrow, as Buffington has strikeout number 4 and 3 in a row.
This game right here, like you mentioned, is not do or die. And here we go. We'll take a look at strike 3, outside corner. I think they need to get on the broadcast and listen to Coach Mike's advice. Don't take that fastball on the outside corner.
That'd be a lot of multitasking, though.
And
in game,
and I can tell you this: I wish I would have been able to talk to myself a little bit more when I played. My batting average would have been a little higher.
You didn't have self conversations behind the plate. It's lonely.
Oh no, there was plenty of conversations, but not the right ones.
Ball and a strike on Noah, who fouls one away.
Actually, the most of them were offensively. Defensively, I knew I had somebody to take care of. And that's one of the things that we've seen here at Little League is the catchers, and what a great job that they do. Number one, just catching these kids, with all this velocity. And it's something that gets lost in the shuffle here, is knowing that if you get somebody behind the plate that can handle this pitching staff and not have to run it down all the time. It's a big part of your defense.
What was your message to yourself behind the plate to get you locked in on the guy on the mound?
Basically the same thing I look for as a hitter, getting that release point. That always helped me the best because that gave me the best or the most time for reaction. The sooner I picked it up, the better. Just for instance, if I picked it up halfway, really, you're talking less than a half a second to decide.
Fly ball right hand side, and Tumbling's there for out number 2. Base is clear in the second inning. Little League's been strengthening communities, building friendships through teamwork, and providing fun competition for over 7 decades. Little League is the world's largest organized youth sports program with over 2 million kids and 1 million volunteers. To learn more about Little League, visit www.llbws.org or follow with hashtag LLWS on social media. I know you've been hashtagging things and tweeting things all week long.
At Spanky Catches, over 1,000 followers. I don't know how. I don't tweet very much, but somehow, some way, hey, the Spankster is on social media.
Is that a sanctioned nickname that people could use for you?
You know what? I've tried to live Spanky down for a long time. It's not going to work.
2-0 on Chase Jackson, the second baseman, the coach's son. How'd you first get the nickname?
Well, 1985. I was in AAA playing for the Louisville Redbirds with the Cardinal organization. Jim Fregosi, my manager, says I bore some resemblance to the Little Rascals character. I beg to differ, but that's the one that stuck.
Well, he was going to give you that nickname whether you liked it or not, right?
Well, it was before George Clooney was a star, so they had to pick somebody.
Jackson goes down swinging. You all can think about that for a couple minutes. No score after 2. Merchandise flying off the shelves here in Warner Robins, Georgia. A little tour from the youngsters to you, and we take a look at our fresh take from the Southeastern Regional. It's brought to you by Subway. Our fresh take shows that South Carolina offense, 27 runs in 13 innings. Florida pitching 23 strikeouts in 2 games, so it's offense versus pitching in this game. And this Virginia team, last 2 games, 40-9. Pretty impressive out of Mechanicsville, Mike.
Well, the offenses really have taken over, and the offense for Tampa took a little bit of time to get going. South Carolina, in their first game, it was close, and then later on they just turned on the Jets. And I tell you what, the game Virginia had against West Virginia, it was a tough game. West Virginia was depleted with their pitching, and I tell you, Virginia it was an onslaught.
Got a chance to do a little watching here. The team from Virginia, they will face the losing team in this game, former Southeastern semifinalists. They'll play either South Carolina or a rematch with the Tampa team tomorrow at 3 Eastern on ESPN as well. Mershon leads it off here in the 3rd and takes ball number 1 from Keaton Howard. who got out of a bases-loaded jam in the second inning. It's a 6-inning scheduled game, and you see the pitch count at 29. That's important in terms of possible usage for the future games. As Mershon places one well down the line, stretching for two. He's in there safely, a double for the two-hitter Mershon.
Well, sometimes it's not how hard you hit it, it's where you hit it. This ball here, in on his hands, a little jam shot, nothing at all anybody can do about it. Howard upset, but a great hustle double by Mershon.
Trying to will his team to some offense with his second double of the tournament here in Warner Robins as Gist takes ball number one. A tall drink of water at age 12, Terrence Gist. Big Dallas Cowboys fan. Jammed on a breaking ball, 1-1.
Sometimes that breaking ball that doesn't break is one of the most devastating pitches if they only knew how to do it on call. I call it the torpedo slider. It's just spinning out of control the wrong way, but it's a pitch that as a hitter, you read break, it doesn't, and you end up jamming yourself.
Nice block there by Brennan, the catcher. What's the key to a ball in the dirt?
Well, it's the anticipation, and if you're in proper position body-wise, you anticipate it in the dirt, you're never surprised.
To third base, and Noah's right there for out number one. I'm asking you to throw somebody under the bus for a moment, but who was the guy that kept you busiest behind the plate in terms of balls in the dirt?
Oh, that was easy. Bob Walk.
Yeah?
Oh, his nickname was the Whirly Bird, and it was, oh, goodness great. I tell you one thing, this guy here, he had to be psychologist, babysitter, taskmaster. I mean, Walkie was absolutely great, and still we're very, very good friends, but I knew that every fifth day I was in for a good workout.
That time called at a meeting coming on the mound.
Hey, 1-0 might win the game. Okay.
I'm thinking this is strategy right
Pitches,
here for
a
Coach
base hit
Jackson.
back up the middle.
Let's listen in.
Could win this game at 1-0. I don't mind winning 1-0.
Back up the middle.
Just get a space hit. We don't need a home run, okay?
Back up the middle.
Just hit him hard back up the middle. We're good to go. Don't need a home run, okay? Don't be thinking about home run. Just be thinking about squaring the ball up wherever it's pitched. All right, just square it up, baby.
Okay with a one-run game right now. That's not something South Carolina's used to.
Well, it's not, but I always like to have a lead, and you force the other team into action. They know that if they don't score, they lose.
Mershon!
So right then and there, you know, that's one of the things. Great advice. Yeah, we don't need the home run. Cut down your swing, put it in play, see what happens.
So here is Alex Edmondson, who had the big power numbers coming in. They're looking for a base hit, and he's down 0-1.
I actually thought Coach Jackson would go out there and kind of look at possibly walking him in this situation, but they feel good about it.
Just off the corner, 1-1.
Atta base. March, 1 out.
Quick reminder to the runner at second, Mershon. 2-1. Every ball to Edmondson gives him the chance to look for his pitch.
He certainly does, and this is about being patient if you can. Of course, sometimes 12 years old and patient in the same sentence doesn't work.
Edmondson deep and gone. His third home run makes it 2-0 South Carolina.
Yeah, baby, nothing wrong with your swing.
Well, here you go, 2-1, breaking ball up, out over the plate. Great advice by Coach Tumblin, thinking about up the middle. This ball just hammered up into the berm, some 300 foot plus away from home plate. As soon as it was hit, we knew it was gone.
And the mob scene at the plate as South Carolina takes the first lead. And Buffington goes straight up the middle as well. So Buffington at first, and a conversation with Golinski's spot coming up. Looks like Brock Myers will hit for Golinski. So the 12-year-old Myers comes on for his first at bat. And again, the South Carolina team, because of its total numbers in terms of participation, just has to get everybody and at bat in the game. Make it sound like a difficult requirement, but as you said, these are all-star teams, so everybody, coaches want to get everybody onto the field at some point.
Yeah, I was very curious. There were two of the teams in this tournament that had 12 or less. I asked both coaches whether they thought that was an advantage or not, and they felt that that was not an advantage.
Right to shortstop, Grouse, and high to first. They do get the lead runner. And 2 down. Ball goes out of play, so Myers given second base. Well, it's a shortstop just trying to make a play there.
Well, Austin Grouse again did what I think everything right. Just didn't execute the throw. Seemed like the runner came in, didn't get down. He thought about throwing it hard, and again, just didn't finish off his throw. Again, great idea. I think maybe a little over enthusiastic, but again, you know, they're trying to, you know, maybe do a little extra since they're down 2-0 now.
Off the glove of Brennan, and Myers to third. How do you guard against that as a coaching staff now? What do you tell your players if you're the coaches from Florida?
Well, the one thing you can do is just say, hey guys, take a deep breath, realize on your shirt there's no S there for Superman. You know, realize that you're Austin Grouse, you're not Derek Jeter. You know, do what Austin Grouse does best.
In the air right field, and Schessler finishes off this third inning with no further damage from that South Carolina offense. But Mr. Edmondson did some damage.
Well, in hindsight, you think you got first base open. No, you're going to pitch to him, and you're going to pay for it.
Low-scoring game so far, thanks in large part to Braden Buffington, who has struck out 5 for his 6 outs through 2 innings on the mound for the team from South Carolina. He's thrown tremendously well.
Yeah, he's mixing in that fastball, that breaking ball, using both sides. And now leave it up to Alex Edmondson.
Hit that one at least 275 feet beyond the right center field wall. And here's our Honda game summary. 2-0 your score. Edmondson, you mentioned, could have been on the mound today, Spanky, and they go with Buffington. He's pitched well. Edmondson's got the offense so far.
Well, Kevin Tumblin, their head coach, I thought, they're rolling the dice a little bit. There's a lot of game left, but Braden Buffington, he's a quality guy. And whenever I say, maybe he's their number 2, well, guess what? Right now, he is the most important guy on that mound. And so, as far as I'm concerned, you take the mound, you're the number 1 in that day.
And to be number 2 to a guy like Edmondson, who throws 80 from that distance, it's pretty good. Deep to left. Chapman looks up, it's gone. Austin Grouse goes deep, it's 2-1.
I love it. First pitch, down in, happy zone. Austin Grouse already into the trot. He says, guys, let me just take care of half of this deficit. Right now, I'm going to just take one swing, have a little chat or a little trot around, and we'll take a peek at it. How about the noise that comes off the bat?
So the guy they call Shorty goes deep for the first time in the tournament. And now a 2-0 count on Keaton Howard.
There you go. How about that? Birthday present for Dad. Son goes deep in the semifinals.
Pretty good gift, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, they wrap that up with a W, and I think that'd be a fine little present for Pops.
So after a meeting with Buffington, trying to settle back in on 2-0 to Howard. He gets into one to left center field, just short of the wall. And Keaton Howard is 2 for 2. A lot of fight in this Florida team.
Well, I had to mention before the game that, they don't have much power. Well, here you go, Spanky, take that. Homer, now a ball, short hop in the wall. Keaton Howard, this is a close getting out of here, but you got this Tampa team, athletic, and they're very, very gritty.
So as the South Carolina team meets on the mound, 2-1 your score.
When we get behind, we got to throw the fastball. Okay, and that's what they're looking for right now. So adjust with the curveball. You're fine. You're doing great. We're still up 2-1. No, we're still up 2-1. All right, let's just make a couple plays here, get us a couple of ground balls, and we're good.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right, here we go.
First defensive.
Okay.
Message from both coach and the team: throw some strikes, get ahead.
Well, exactly, and probably the very best advice. If you go and get that mic to a major league pitching coach, he's going to basically say the same thing. You're getting behind in the count. You're having to throw the fastball. That's what the hitters look for.
It's Tyler Corrish, the center fielder, against Buffington, who was getting ahead for the most part in the first 2 innings. Only has walked 1, and that is Corrish. He did go 0-2.
Corrish has shown some good opposite field power earlier in this tournament. Looks like it's very natural to go that way to right field. Something he needs to look at right here.
Didn't get far enough away. Howard had a notion at second, decided to go back. Down and out, 2-2. How important is that first out of an inning? There's a nice little souvenir for you, huh?
That one's got a dent in it. I can see it. It was hit way too hard.
Now 3-2. As a catcher, somebody who's dealt with a lot of different battery mates, why is that first out so difficult to get sometimes?
Well, you know, I tell you one thing. Sometimes it's just the excitement of what happens the inning before. You don't separate that whenever you get to the mound.
Through the left side for Korish, a base hit. How about this? The very athletic offense for Florida with 3 straight hits.
Some good base running by Keaton Howard. He makes the ball go through on the left side. That's why he couldn't score. The left fielder gets it in timely fashion. I tell you, this Tampa team, they've been down, never out. Here we go. I've seen that ball right there from Major League pitchers, but it's not due to the bat. They had a little sandpaper, maybe a little doctoring, but yeah, great shot of that ball. Maybe not dented, but certainly bruised.
Austin Krause put a hurt into that one with the solo homer to lead off the inning. And now Louder with 2 on. You think maybe with how aggressive this offense is that Korish over at first base might be on the move.
Well, right now with nobody out, I'd have to think they're going to let Louder swing the bat.
Which he does to tie the ball game. Ryan Louder's first RBI, and we're tied at 2.
Well, a little left-hander using the whole field. And there's a nice short cut right into left field. Get a good pitch to hit, drove it to the outfield.
Now Brennan pops up the bunt, and there's that first out.
Well, situation, we've seen some great bunting this week. The key is bunting a strike. Sometimes you get a little excited and you end up bunting that high fastball. Very difficult to get that on the ground.
See Brennan a little bit frustrated into the dugout. 1 out, 2 on now. And Schessler's spot coming up. It'll be one of their key pinch hitters, Joey Johnston, subbing in for Schessler to hit with 2 on and 1 out.
And the process here, they make sure they go to the official score. The home plate umpire, he's got a lineup card. Everything's documented.
Well, the coaching staff from Florida was raving about Johnston off the bench, one of their key pinch hitters.
Seems like whenever he comes up, always puts a good swing on it. That last pitch, he was right on top of it, just barely missed it.
0-2 on Johnston, who's a big fisherman. They say he's out fishing basically every day or twice a day or 3 times a day right before practice. Johnston in the air, center field, and Gist is on this one for the 2nd out.
Joey Johnston got a pretty good piece of this ball, but it was in a good location for Buffington. It was the breaking ball. It was down. The key was down in the zone. We saw Edmondson hit a breaking ball the previous inning way up high. There it is, about knee high.
So first pitch hunting Caswell, and it's out of play. Well, you mentioned this before. This Florida team has been late inning surgical offensively.
Yeah, they struggled coming out of the blocks. In fact, their game against Virginia, they struck out the first 5 out of 6 hitters. Their second time around, they made some good adjustments.
First base, And that'll do it. Williams taps the bag. But Tampa picks up a couple of runs to tie the ball game. Some more power from the top of the card.
Here we go. Grouse down and in. Now it's out and gone. Austin Grouse.
Welcome back to Warner Robins, Georgia. We're tied at 2, top of the 4th inning. Winner goes to the championship game on Thursday, and the Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's continues tomorrow from the Southeastern region. 3 Eastern on ESPN, semifinal number 2. Then the regional final Thursday, ESPN2 at 5 p.m. And the losing team today ends up facing Mechanicsville, Virginia in the semifinal tomorrow. Taylor, South Carolina has not been in much of a squeaker so far. 27-6 combined. 18 strikeouts in 11 innings before play started today. Mr. Buffington struck out 5 in the first 2 innings this afternoon. A juggernaut from South Carolina. Last team to make Williamsport out of the state of South Carolina was Clinton back in 1950. Two and 0 on Tumblin, who leads off the 4th. Left field, Johnston stayed in the game and stays with that one for out number 1. So we told you about the bracket and what we're looking at. So 3 Eastern tomorrow, semifinal number 2 on ESPN. South Carolina, Florida loser takes on Mechanicsville, Virginia. Then Thursday, 5 Eastern on ESPN2. I hope you join us for that final. And the winner of that heads to Williamsport for a wonderful memory at the very least, and maybe, just maybe, a U.S. or World Championship.
Well, I think it's just, it's one of those things. I take myself back to Little League. Williamsport is just, it's the dream of every kid that puts on a Little League uniform is to get to Williamsport.
Bradley Lewis going to pinch hit for Pate Williams. They call him B-Rad. And at least one of his fan club has a car out in the parking lot with B-Rad colored in the windows in aqua. Ball number 1.
Yeah, Bradley started on the mound for this team in game 2, was relieved by Buffington, but a little left-hander, this is a little finesse guy.
You were a finesse guy once, weren't you?
No, just gas. I had no idea even how to hold a curveball in Little League. All I threw was just that straight gas. Of course, I say gas was probably about 47 miles an hour. I was just It felt like I was throwing hard.
They used the sundial for you?
Well, you know, at 4'10", I mean, I couldn't even ride all the rides at the amusement parks.
Up the middle, Keaton Howard plays it perfectly, and 2 down. You know, you're sandbagging us, though, because this is from, what, like 1922, right? From the newspaper up in New Hampshire.
There
1973, May 20th, a no-hitter from Spanky in Little League.
Well, yeah, that was the last time that I threw hard and ran fast. 1973, yeah, it was a situation where, you know, Manchester, New Hampshire, North Little League. I was in Ferdinando Insurance, and it doesn't seem exactly like yesterday, but absolutely fabulous memory.
If you read the fine print, by the way, on that newspaper article, it says you also followed with a, quote, hefty double.
Somebody had my future in their crystal ball. Hefty and me, yeah, I guess it's we're 1 and 2 of the same.
Well, you could swing the stick back in the day, too. I mean, you're known for your gold glove behind the plate, but you could swing it.
Well, yeah, I was one of those guys that didn't get any infield hits. So all my hits were clean. I didn't have to, you know, just say, oh, yeah, you legged it out. Although I would have loved to have had that option.
You scored from first on a single back in the day.
Yeah, and I can tell you this. We don't have enough broadcast time for me to take you through that whole thing for me to go first to home. But it was something that I recognized whenever it happened. We had a long chat about it earlier today, and I had a good laugh about it. But it was a special circumstance. I actually scored from first on a single in the big leagues. I don't know how many guys have done it, but I know some of the fastest guys haven't.
Yeah, don't shortchange yourself. You had wheels back.
Yeah,
back in history.
Hey, wheels with flat tires.
Lehman back in on the substitution with 2 down here in the 4th. And a 2-2 tie. 6 innings scheduled in this semifinal game number 1. Keaton Howard's pitched well. He's got a 1-2. Bounce it to first. Caswell on top of it. And a 1-2-3 inning. 5 in a row retired by young Keaton Howard, keeping his team right there, tied at 2 after 3.5. To ESPN's coverage of the Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes for semifinal game number 1 for the Southeastern Regional in Warner Robins, Georgia. The new $1.8 million Little League Grow the Game grant program was created to provide local Little Leagues the resources they need for general improvement to help recover from the natural disaster and to expand or establish Little League Softball, Little League Challenger Division, and Little League Urban Initiative programs. For more information, visit www.littleleague.org/grow the game. And if anything's going to grow the game, it's teams like these. We saw them together as a group today, and the amount of cohesion, the amount of care for each other. It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
You know, it really, it's been shown by all of these teams that have participated. I tell you, this has shown some absolutely fabulous sportsmanship. Not a whole lot of showboating that you see on television. These guys, I mean, this is just pure baseball and a pleasure to watch.
Here's Dominic LaFalce in at third base, hitting in the 8th position. As again, this Tampa team, because it has 11 players, has to get everybody in for an at-bat, and everybody also has to play 6 consecutive defensive outs in the game off the bench.
Yeah, Coach Jay Jackson actually, I mean, he thought it was a detriment to his team to only have 11. He liked the idea of having the flexibility to move some hitters in and out.
Diving try by Tumblin in right, and he couldn't bring it in. So LaFalce scoots to second with a leadoff double.
It's a fabulous effort in right field. Ben Tumblin coming in, dove right at it. This is a situation where, you know what, aggression isn't such a bad thing. He gives 100% here, trying to make a play for his club, just barely misses it. Yeah, this is outstanding. Just doesn't quite get the glove. Body takes a beating on that one. He was a little shaken up, but he's all set and ready to go.
You mentioned the aggressiveness defensively. This Florida team loves to take extra bases, go first to third, force a throw, and now a chance to play with some tools with a leadoff man at second.
Well, you'd have to think at least they're going to think about Chase Jackson dropping down a bunt. You've got Grouse on deck, the top of the order. Grouse and then Howard, both of them have swung the bats incredibly well today. So you're really thinking get him to third with less than 2 outs.
Time called before that pitch started, and we'll see a special pinch runner come in. Noah back in, Justin Noah for LaFalce. So LaFalce can come back in the game, pulled for a special pinch runner. There's strike one to Jackson. Chase Jackson, who his father Jay, the manager of this team, calls a goofball, has a chance to drive in a run. Instead, he pops up, but foul. 0-2.
Yeah, it's a tough play on the catcher. Didn't quite see it off the bat. Buffington hustled in, tried to get to it. Situation now, you're 0-2. Now it's all about knowing what your batter can do. Do you let him swing or not? I do.
Well, the Tampa coaching staff told us earlier they're willing to bunt in a lot of situations. 2 out, maybe even 2 strike with the right guy at the plate. He swings away and stays alive.
Ideally, you'd love to have him hit a ground ball to the right side to advance that runner. It'll really be a productive out. I'm not sure if Chase has quite enough power to hit the ball all the way in the air to right field in order to advance Noah.
That's pitch number 70 of the day for Buffington. So 2-2 now with Noah at second after the LaFalce double. So that 70 pitch mark, over 66, you need 4 days rest to get back in. Buffington's not going to pitch again here in this tournament. 85 is the limit. There's strike 3. That's his first strikeout since the 2nd inning, but a big one for the first out of the 4th.
Yeah, absolutely huge by Buffington. Goes after fastball inside, kind of ties him up. He's a little bit tardy on the ball. Great location and movement on that fastball.
Here's Grouse, who homered last time. He pokes one to center. Stop sign for Noah at third. First and third, 1 out for Tampa.
Nice play by center fielder Terrence Gist on this ball. He charges right off the get-go. I tell you, it was a great read by Justin Noah, and another base hit by Grouse. Take a look at it. Here he is. He's right on top of it. No chance at all for Noah to score. So saving a run, at least for right now.
So now what's the message here on the mound defensively for South Carolina? What would you say coming out of the dugout?
Well, the situation is this. If I get my middle infielders in, if I play them.
Needed you to do. Listen to me. Listen to me. You're staying in the game and going to left field, okay? You're going to left. Alex, you're pitching, buddy. Let's get our 20 pitches and see what we can do here.
How about
Mertz,
that?
You go to short. You go to short. Send Gage to right. Bent.
Mr. Edmondson,
okay,
the number one pitcher, is going to see about 20 pitches. Late job for Edmondson to break out of a jam and a 2-2 tie in the fourth. The hard-throwing Alex Edmondson onto the mound. Just 2 earned runs allowed in 4 innings so far in Warner Robins, Georgia. And you heard the coach mention before our break, you heard Kevin Tumblin, his skipper, say, let's get our 20 pitches. That means they're trying to save him for tomorrow. If there is a tomorrow, allow him to be eligible. Once you hit 20, you can finish the at-bat. Then you have to come out if you want to pitch tomorrow.
Correct, and whether it's tomorrow or whether it's the championship game on Thursday, they want to stay away from anything more than 36 pitches for sure. But he was very, very certain about 20 pitches, and that was it. And then they would probably go to their number 3 guy. But right now, I expected Edmondson to start the ball game. Whether I agree with the strategy or not, Coach Tumblin knows these kids much better than I do. He knows what they're capable of doing, and right now this is a game-saving situation.
Behind the fastball for Keaton Howard. I mean, he's just short of 80 miles an hour, and we talk about equivalency for that from 46 feet. I mean, that is a damaging fastball.
And we take a look at the shift that we see, the opposite field shift on every hitter that he faces.
One gets away from Golinsky, and Grouse to second base, so the double plays out of order. So the equivalency on that last pitch, we told you, possibly upwards of 100 miles an hour, 103 from that distance. So when we're talking about equivalency, it's what does this miles per hour look like from the Little League distance? So if he's throwing 80, we're talking about 103 miles an hour to the batter. And that is a nasty pitch on the inside corner for strike 3.
Yeah, and a huge pitch it was. We take a look at this, look at the location, down and in. It's not where the catcher catches it. It's where the ball crosses home plate. It was at the knees on the inside corner. Almost unfair. If you're throwing what the equivalent is of 103 miles an hour and you're spotting it up, I tell you one thing, I don't want to bat. I don't want to bat whenever I was in Major League form.
So you're saying you put some Major League hitters up there from that distance with that speed, they're going to have some trouble.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, there's just Yeah, number one, they wouldn't be used to it. But I can tell you this right here, hats off to anybody that puts a ball in play.
2-0 on Korish. There's ball 3. This one gets away again. And now the rundown. Can Noah get out of it? Doubling back for home, and down he goes. South Carolina with Edmondson gets out of it. At the center of it all, the former shortstop, Alex Edmondson, locks down the 4th inning. We're tied at 2. A regulation 6 score at 2-1, 5-2-1 on the rundown. Edmondson gets what he wants in roundabout fashion. 2-2 after 4 in Georgia. Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's continues tomorrow for the Southeastern region, 3 p.m. on ESPN. Semifinal number 2, Mechanicsville, Virginia will be involved. The losing team of our game right now will be involved. Then the regional final Thursday on ESPN2, 5 p.m. The question is, how do they get to a regional? So you enter the district tournament, then into the sectional tournament after the local Little League All-Star team selection process, the state or the national tournament, into the regionals, then the Little League World Series in Williamsport. And heck, this Florida team trailed 7-1 after 2 innings in the district title game and scored 7 unanswered in order to even be a part of this game here. First pitch of inning number 5 is a strike from Keaton Howard, who's thrown very well so far in this game. He's given up just a 1 big blast as David Clark pinch hits for South Carolina. Over his head, ball and a strike.
Yeah, Keaton Howard's really done a nice job. Only giving up 2 runs thus far. Very potent South Carolina offense. And really, from my vantage point, 1 mistake, but he made the mistake to the only guy that he couldn't make it against.
That was Edmondson with the 2-run homer back in the 3rd inning. Two and 2 on Clark. Braves country here, big Braves fan himself. Taps it foul.
One thing that I have noticed is the South Carolina team going into this, asking them, how are you going to attack these Tampa pitchers? And they think that they are predominantly throwing the fastball in the outside corner. They're trying to get a little bit closer to home plate.
Got a piece of it, stays alive, 2 and 2. So then how do you readjust if you're the Florida pitching staff?
Yeah, I'm going to throw it inside. whether you can recognize that. It's one of the tough things as a coach. You can't see that from the sideline. So maybe you got to look at your catcher or the pitcher to recognize.
Nice charging play by Grouse to solidly finish off out number 1. Well, coming up on a Wednesday night baseball on ESPN, it's the Spanky LaValliere Bowl. NL Central rivals separated by just a couple of games, Pittsburgh and St. Louis. Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, and watch ESPN. Totally on the spot here. Which city did you like playing in more?
Both.
Great.
I know I know somewhere there's a both in the world. I think both cities were fabulous. I think the Cardinals, maybe at that point had a little more tradition, and they're just tremendous fans. But I tell you, Pittsburgh, they could find a way to do something about that winter. I'd live there in a heartbeat. Love the Steel City.
There you are. Spanky with the eye black in full force. Led the league in throwing out runners in 2 separate seasons in 2 separate leagues. That is tough to do. Smoke to right center field, all the way up the alley by Gist. Streaking into second base with a 1-out double.
Now, this much I can tell you, if I am Coach Jackson, after seeing this blast by Gist, I've already got my mind up. I'm going intentional walk. There's Terrence Gist, you see, just, a phenomenal athlete. You see him with the bat. I played with Bo Jackson. I look at this young man, and I see a junior Bo Jackson. Kid is very athletic.
He's a huge Bo Jackson fan himself, says he watches YouTube videos of Bo throwing the ball from the outfield on no hops to home plate. And, to get somebody in this generation to want to be Bo Jackson, that takes some love of history.
It certainly does, and Bo was a teammate of mine with the White Sox. I got to see firsthand, and this was after his hip surgery, and just unbelievable talent.
Even after the surgery.
Exactly, and couldn't run nearly as well as he could prior to that surgery, but again, a very gifted athlete. Really, your first, for me, a 2-sport superstar.
Intentional walk for Edmondson, 2 on, 1 out. And, if people are saying, well, a lot of people do 2 sports. We saw one of the best in basketball history, maybe the best, Michael Jordan, try and do it in both, and it didn't happen for him.
I was happened to be with the White Sox at the time, and I tell you one thing that MJ did, he worked as hard as anybody, if not harder. He knew he had a lot to make up, but unfortunately for him, he started a little bit too late.
Meeting on the mound, we'll take a listen in. It's a meeting here with the score 2-2 in the 5th, 2 on and 1 out. What's your message here for the team?
Oh, right now, I'm just going to go out there and make sure that everybody has their assignments on defense ready. Basically go over with the third baseman, shortstop, second baseman, and really instill in the fact, guys, get me 1 out. If we get 2, fabulous, but if the ball's hit to you, know where you're going with it. And just really, right now, as far as Keaton Howard goes, hey, son, you're pitching the ball well. Don't change a thing.
Well, Buffington, who's up, has stung a pair of balls so far this afternoon. That's a fair ball to first, and they get the out for the 2nd out in the 5th. Caswell, nice play to stop that ball down the line.
Yeah, Caswell positioned absolutely perfectly. This ball slicing down the line could have been dangerous. Ball just caught the inside part of that bag. Our umpire right on the call, perfect play. Now it's a matter of trying to get that third and elusive out sometimes.
So now Galinsky back in to take strike 1.
Galinsky, how about during our interview? His name Gogo. I want to say there's a little more G in there. Gregarious. This young guy, he's the perfect catcher.
Galinsky to center field. Korish can't haul it in. South Carolina retakes the lead. Golinsky does the damage to center. We'll be talking about that for weeks.
Well, the go-go Golinsky gets a fastball up, belt high, middle. Tyler Korish looked like he had a chance to get after this one, but the ball just hit a little bit too hard. That ball was just crushed. And one of the toughest plays for a center fielder is that line drive right at him. So very difficult to see really what depth that ball is going to be.
Golinsky flashes a smile to his dugout, and that smile is not going to go away for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, when I watch a Major League Baseball game, you know, I want to see smiles. You know, it's, to me, you know, the guys, the enjoyment, you know, it's a business, yeah, but you know what? You know, play ball. Don't work at it, play it. You know, it's a fun thing. It's the greatest game in the world as far as I'm concerned. Every time you step foot on that field, enjoy every single minute.
Some major leaguers could take a cue from these guys, don't you think?
Without a doubt. Ooh.
Inside, and that one clipped Kip Johnson. So 2 on now, 2 out as he joins Mershon, the pinch runner, on the base path.
It was the off-speed pitch, breaking ball that didn't break. Yeah, Keaton out there that's maybe just a little upset. Timing, rhythm, just a little off. When you throw that ball up and in, it's usually because you've jumped at the hitter and hadn't stayed back on that back leg.
This one to the backstop, and the runners advance. Mershon to third, Johnson to second. Third base side, nicely done by Noah to finish off the inning. Mr. Golinsky deep to center field. The catcher gets the job done, Spanky.
Yeah, go figure, huh? Another catcher in the clutch.
(4-2) South Carolina leading Florida, bottom of the 5th in semifinal number 1 of the Southeastern Regional. Time to take a look at the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes moment of the game. It was the Will Rogers of conversation. He's never met a chat he didn't like. Braden Golinsky does his talking with the stick here. 2-run double to give South Carolina the lead, 4-2 as it stands right now. Back in behind the plate to do the tough job of catching the flame-throwing young man Alex Edmondson on the mound less than 50 feet away from him.
Hey, Go-Go does a nice job with Edmondson, too. First game, he got a foul tip and really took some heat to those fingers and kind of bounced around a little bit, took the glove off, but ended up, like every other catcher, just shrugging it off and saying, that's part of the job.
Well, now, Spanky, a decision to make for the South Carolina coaching staff. If Edmondson gets over 20 pitches, he's going to have at least 1 day of rest. The hope would be then you get the win here, he gets the day of rest built in.
Well, and that's the key right now. You just don't know how he's going to mow through the hitters, how many pitches he's going to have to throw. Because last inning, that rundown was the first recorded out, not by strikeout, from Edmondson in this tournament.
A little frustrated with himself right now with that pitch well outside, 2-1.
Well, what I call feels like temperature on that one, 101.
The heat index, if you will.
It's certainly not a wind chill factor.
That's
right. Way too much heat.
Poured in a strike there. This one goes well out of here. Tyler Korish lights one up.
Korish has shown us opposite field power to the fence. Now you go ahead, let Alex Edmondson supply some of your power, and now you hit it over the fence. Again, very natural swing. This ball way up on the berm. Great opposite field power. And that's what happens whenever you stay within yourself. You let the ball get to you and don't overswing.
Easy does it there for Korish. 1-run game. And now the analysis builds in that South Carolina dugout. If Florida picks up another run, the hope would be actually for South Carolina, they do it within 8 pitches. So they'd know whether or not Edmondson should stay in or not.
Yeah, these head coaches really have to become managers. Yeah, they have to manage their substitutions, their pinch hitters, the pinch runners, and now with the pitch counts. I love that it's being implemented. I'm a big fan of the pitch count at the youth level. Not so much in the big leagues, but here at the youth level, I'm really a big fan. I think ultimately it's going to help these kids stay healthier longer and keep them off the surgery table for that Tommy John when they're in their teens.
So when do you think the pitch count should really increase? If you don't like it in the majors, but you do here.
Well, I think once you become old enough to where your growth plates are taken care of, your muscles are strong enough, you've got into a healthy workout regimen, and I'm going to say somewhere in the college area, when your body's fully developed, then you can go ahead and implement that. But it's part of the game right now.
Ball 4 to Louder, so 16 pitches now for Edmondson. If they want him available for a possible game tomorrow in the situation of a loss, he can only throw 4 more pitches to this batter. Now, if he goes over 20 with this batter, he can finish the batter.
Well, it's the game within the game, Jay. I tell you, it's I don't know if I really would want to make the decision. It's almost going back to where, you know what, I'm going to start him. I'm going to do my best to win the ball game. And then, you know what, then I'm going to come back again with Buffington. This may work out perfectly for South Carolina, but you know what, there's too many things hinging on the pitch count.
This one to the backstop, Louder to second base. So now the tying run in scoring position for Florida. And Edmondson at 19 pitches looks like he doesn't have his typical strike throwing stuff, which will happen some days.
Well, that's the one thing. Velocity's one thing. Getting it over the plate's another. these Tampa hitters, they're very disciplined. They've got good zone control, so they're not fishing after bad pitches so far.
Through the left side, base hit for Brennan. And the ball gets away. Louder comes home and ties the game.
Well, this is when the shift burns you. Shortstop David Mershon was virtually right behind second base. This ball hit almost exactly where the shortstop would be playing. It burns him. Buffington coming in, got it underneath his glove. And now we've got a new ball game. How about this Florida team coming back against one of the very best?
And we go to the 6, ready to roll. Come on.
So Edmondson will be available if there's a game tomorrow.
Where's Gage?
He was under 20 pitches on that final batter. So pitching change for South Carolina. 4-4 tie. Leading run at second base for Florida, home fifth. Today on SportsCenter, the countdown to the college football season is in the home stretch. A lot of confidence in those training camps. We joined SportsCenter on the road, bringing you a behind-the-scenes look from 9 of the nation's top programs as they gear up the season. Notre Dame and UCLA today on SportsCenter. The Irish and the Longhorns getting ready to battle. The Bruins had a nice recruiting season, and on the verge of something maybe big in the Pac-12 as well, as Bradley Lewis comes in to try and cinch it up for South Carolina in a deadlock in the 5th inning.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Bradley Lewis was the starter in game 2. Got hit around just a little bit. Buffington came in, did a great job in relief, and they eventually went away in that game by a bunch. But the little left-hander, more of a finesse guy. His fastball is going to be in the lower 60s, but a big sweeping breaking ball.
A big change for this Florida team to adjust to, with Edmondson, the hard-throwing right-hander, coming out. Strike one. Joey Johnston came in to hit in the 3rd, a fly out to center that he struck pretty well. Shortstop Edmondson just off the mound with a very nice play.
Earlier in the ball game, Edmondson let a very similar ground ball get through him. That time he makes sure he gets down on this ball, and that's the key. Stays right with it, and then just that rocket arm across the infield.
That's where it's nice to have a pitcher over at shortstop. Caswell reaches for a foul ball, 0-1. How do you stay within yourself if you're a player right now?
Well, as a hitter, you realize that the pitcher's not going to throw it by you. So what I'm thinking about doing is my approach is going to be up the middle, perhaps to the opposite field. But the whole key is really not to overswing, stay within yourself.
Wide of the bag, 0-2.
Many times, young players especially equate slow velocity with easy, and they have a tendency of getting away from what they do best. They'll expand their zones because they see the ball a little bit better. You've got to have the exact opposite mentality. You've got to get a good pitch to hit because he's not going to be able to throw it by you.
Stay outside, and Brennan taps the brakes. So as a catcher, when you're going to waste a pitch like that, he was 0-2, wanted to throw one outside. How far off the plate do you think he should get?
Well, it all depends on that pitcher. You know, some of your guys have pinpoint control. Yeah, you get out maybe 3 or 4 inches. You know, the guy that you're not sure of, well, that's whenever I go in my prevent defense. It's almost like soccer goalie. You get out somewhere towards the outside and just prepare for anything.
There's your Bob Walk defense.
Well, Waukee had a little more control than that, but it does say that he had a propensity to throw the ball in the dirt.
Glove exchange here for the catcher, Galinsky. Set up outside again, and it's 2-2.
And not surprising, after catching Edmondson, you might want to change your mitt, different feel. Having to catch Lewis.
Foul of third again. Caswell, his father is a coach on that Florida side. And Dad said, when asked, hey, what do you think of your son? He said he's the best son ever.
Yeah, it was a nice thing to see, and that we had a chance. Again, the dad's talking about the kids talking about the dads, and let's just say that the sons were a little bit more reserved than the dads.
They want playing time.
They don't want to get grounded.
In the air to right field. And there is out number 2. Buffington hauls it in. Winner today ends up in the championship game on Thursday. The losing team still has a heartbeat. Will play on Wednesday, tomorrow, 3 Eastern on ESPN against the team from Mechanicsville, Virginia, which is 3-1 in this tournament thus far, with a loss to the Florida side a couple of days ago. Ball 1 to Dominic LaFalce. The third baseman back in for his second trip.
Dominic had a huge hit late in the ball game against Virginia in game 2. Came off the bench, wasted no time. Big hit.
Fastball fed in for a strike on the inside corner. Nice pitch.
That's one of those pitches that a left-handed finesse guy uses curveball, breaking ball, sneaks that fastball in. Look for something probably soft now.
Dangerous hook for strike 3. Bradley Lewis keeps the game tied. 4-4. We're scheduled for 6.
ESPN's coverage of the Little League World Series is presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes cereal. They're great!
We welcome you back to ESPN's coverage of the Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Semifinal Game 1 down to the wire from the Southeastern Regional. As we go headlong toward the end of regulation, 4-4. Each team has scored 2 in the third and the fifth. Nice responses by Florida to stay in the game twice. As Keaton Howard, on a pitch limit of 85, stands at 74, trying to get his team through a quick 6th. Here's strike 1 to Bradley Lewis. Limit for any pitcher is 85. You got to come out after 85. You're allowed to finish the batter.
If this goes extras, then you really have some decision making to go, because if you happen to go ahead and go through your entire staff, and end up losing the ball game, who do you have for tomorrow?
Through the right side of the infield, Lewis, a leadoff base knock. It's a fine line you got to think about today and tomorrow at the same time.
Yeah, here's a sweet swinging left-hander right here. Happy zone, down, middle in, just something that he can get the barrel to. One thing I would like to see, just maybe a little better follow through. As he gets a little bit older, he's going to learn a little bit about that. Develops a little bit more bat speed and possibly a little bit more power. And one of the things that I suggest is whenever you swing, finish with your hands somewhere up near your helmet. Once you do that, that's whenever you get the old, hey, this is how you swing through the ball.
Pinch hitter for South Carolina, Ryan Saug, 12-year-old right-hander, will come up. And we'll see if South Carolina may bunt. It sounded like the message from Kevin Tumblin.
And Kevin giving signs. That's really for the runner on first base. He's already verbally told Ryan what to do.
Strike 1. Popped it up, 0-2.
In a situation where
Now you got it back.
all you're trying to do is get the ball down on the ground.
Tally, Brad.
And Coach Tumblin, who's over there encouraging that his runner Bradley Lewis get a good secondary lead.
Saug stays alive.
And what that is once the ball gets past the hitter, now he's able to get off the base. And what that does is that gives you a little bit more of a running start towards the next base.
See him anchor there. It's pitch number 81 from Howard. He's got strike 3. His 4th strikeout of the day.
And a great time for that breaking ball, probably his best one of the day. Look at the location, nice break, ball down and away, tough pitch on Saub.
So Keaton Howard, a young man who likes the classics. He's a big fan of Herb Brooks' speech in the Miracle on Ice movie. Loves old music. Trying to get his team through the 6th inning. And we'll see if that's not his final batter. 4-4 tie. 6 innings is regulation. Winner goes to the final on Thursday. The losing team will play tomorrow against Mechanicsville in Virginia for a chance to get to that final. Chapman comes in that 2 spot.
Speaking of that Mechanicsville team, I mean, they're battle tested. They had a couple of very tough ball games to start this tournament, and then one that was really a laugher. But they're a team that's really come on hard.
So Chapman in as the pinch runner. Mershon up for a South Carolina team that has breezed through a couple of games. Jackson at second has the out onto first, 2 down, and that allows Howard a chance to finish off the inning. He's under the 85 pitch limit.
Well, ground ball, Chase Jackson. I almost thought that he may have tried to get that lead runner, but it really would have been a tough play. He would have had to turn his body completely around and make a good throw to Austin Grouse. With 1 out, I really like the idea. Get that second out.
So that's going to be all for Howard. They do get that big second out, and Howard will be done. They'll make the substitution. Howard with a brilliant job. Grouse to the mound in a 4-4 tie in the 6th. Four tie, new pitcher on, Austin Grouse, and Kevin Tumblin with a message for his hitter Terrence Gist about the new pitcher while we were away.
Hey, Terrence, fastball's down the middle. This is the guy we said goes away, and all it is a fastball, okay? So you pound him, baby. You pound him, right? Boom. Hey, that's us. That's us right there. Hey, that.
See if the scouting report's on top of it.
Well, I tell you, Austin Grouse with a little more fastball than Keaton Howard, and we'll see how good that scouting report is. I think Grouse has got a really good fastball. I saw some run on it early in this tournament, so I wouldn't necessarily be leaning out over the plate, but would like to get a fastball first pitch and whack it.
There it was, fastball outside corner, strike 1.
Well, there's no chance of getting that runner on base should this ball be grounded to the outfield.
Over second base into right. Throw coming home is not in time. South Carolina leads. Chapman stomps home plate.
This ball not hit great, but it had a lot of top spin. Big bounce, outfielders playing really deep. Schessler charges, good strong throw home, but again, a little bit too late. With them playing as deep as they did, they said anything but a line shot, they wouldn't have had a chance.
So now Grouse tries to lock in against Edmondson. And South Carolina with a 5-4 lead. With 2 runs on the board thanks to him. Edmondson's home run in the 3rd, a 2-run shot, and they're going to intentionally walk him. What do you think?
Seen it earlier in the tournament. First base occupied. You know what? I don't blame him. I'll take my chances with number 5 in the order, Buffington, with 2 outs. It's a tough call, but I don't have any problem with it. This kid, Edmondson, he's quick strike offense all by himself. A guy that's in scoring position every time he goes up to the plate. So even though you are putting another runner in scoring position, you might be keeping 2 in your pocket.
Here's a possible game winner from Gist.
And that ball off the bat ended up hitting right in front of home plate where the grass meets the clay, and that's what gave it that big high hop. Gist with all kinds of power was able to get it over Chase Jackson's head on the big, we call it Baltimore chopper. That's going to date myself, isn't it, Jay? Baltimore chopper?
I think so. It's been a while since we had one of those. 1-0 on Buffington. Low and away, 2-0. See the 92 MLB, that's the equivalency scale, what it would look like if it were an MLB situation from 60 feet 6 inches with the speed that it's thrown. 2-1.
Rouse came in against Virginia, got the win. Throws a good fastball. It's got a breaking ball too, but he mainly stays with the gas.
3-1. We mentioned South Carolina is a big inning offense. Florida trying to keep it at 1 run. The 9-1 and 2 hitters are coming up for the Tampa team in the home 6th. Flip the corner, 3-2. Boy, it's a huge pitch coming up.
It sure is. That last one, great pitcher's pitch. 3-1, great location, down and away. Take your chances right there.
Called strike 3 at the knees. Grouse gets an important strikeout. Florida with a last chance to dance, down 5-4. Winner goes to the finals.
With me, something that no other team can provide but you guys. That's pride. We get one shot to get it right. We get one shot, so hold on tight. We get one shot, so you had the whole place jumping. Want to know why? They're like sportsmen. They're like guys who don't quit. They're like guys who play the game the right way. That's us. We'll be the boys of summer.
August 20th to 30th, 10 of the happiest days you'll see on a baseball diamond or in any sporting arena. Little League World Series on ESPN, ESPN2, and ABC from Williamsport between the 20th and the 30th. A bunch of regional finals coming up as well, including our game on ESPN2 on Thursday. So that's what we're leading you up to, the World Series Championship on August the 30th. 5-4 South Carolina, a 1-run lead. And the last chance saloon here for Florida, trailing by a run in the 6th.
You know, this ball club, they're athletic, they're gritty. We've seen a little power from them in today's ball game. Before in the tournament, only 1 home run. Today they've registered a couple. You know, see what they have to say. They're, again, a team that's very, very determined. They've already proven that they can come back from adversity. You talked about that comeback in the district from 6 runs down to win 8-7. Here you only have to get 1, but you're playing a very, very good team in the South Carolina Northwood team.
If this score holds, this is how good South Carolina has been. They haven't scored, this will be the first time they've scored any fewer than 9 runs in postseason play. So that's a feat in itself for Florida to keep that team down to 5. What's the approach at the plate if you're Florida here in the 6th?
Well, right now, I got to take a strike if I'm Chase Jackson leading off. He's got a small zone, but somebody with power, I'd go ahead and let him swing at it.
0-1. First pitch swing for Jackson.
Yeah, just a little anxious.
Up, down, up, down.
Bradley Lewis, he's feeling it. A little adrenaline flow, throwing the ball with some more velocity than he did the other night.
Lewis on 0-2. Got strike 3. Second straight strikeout for Lewis.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and there it is. Good night. Outside corner after a couple of heaters up in the zone. Lewis decides he's going to pick that outside corner. That's a good pitch.
1 out for Grouse. Deep to center field. Gist with his heels on the warning track.
Well, Austin Grouse knew that he just missed tying this ball game up. He got a first pitch breaking ball. He's upset about it. He knew he got it on the good part of the bat, just slightly underneath it. Gist playing almost on the warning track, hardly had to go back.
Two down, nobody on. Tying run still at the plate. Keaton Howard takes ball 1. Well, Corish, who's next, has homered today. Howard has a double. He hit well to left. Two and 0.
There's the changeup. Trying to pitch backwards. Fastball count, throwing an off-speed pitch.
Missed a little bit high. 3-0.
Well, right now, he's got home run power. I'm giving him the green light.
On 3-0 with 2 out.
Absolutely. Home run power. Your favorite pitch.
They're not going to let him swing.
Maybe they overheard me.
Intentional ball 4 puts the runner on. So now Corish, who last time up, by the way, provided this in the 5th.
Well, against big Alex Edmondson, 2-run bomb. And I tell you, he's taking this personally. You look at his face, look at the concentration
on this guy. Okay, if he gets on, it's still not a big deal. We'll get the next guy. Okay. We're not going to give him any meat.
How about inside?
We may try to bust him inside a couple of times, but most part we're going to work away and keep the changeup down. Infield, I want y'all to back the outfield up a little bit so we don't give up any extra bases here. We can't let this guy score. Okay.
Curveball's on too.
Curveball. All right, we may start with that. All right, here we go. Knock it down. Go 1 or 2.
How about the advice from Galinsky? His curveball's on too. Just letting Skip know, hey, maybe that's the way to go.
Well, the one thing as a catcher, you know what, don't be shy. You know, and you get the best seat in the house as far as I'm concerned. It's something that, again, you can't see from the dugout. But as a catcher, yeah, you see all these things. Why not share it with your coach? If he's the one that's calling pitches, give him another option.
See if they go there first. Nicely done. Missed with a fastball, ball and a strike.
Yeah, the strategy is start them off with a soft, throw the fastball away. If you're going to throw the changeup, make sure you keep it down.
That clipped him on the way by, so Korish gets first base. Now the winning run is at first.
That breaking ball just got a piece of Tyler Korish. We'll sneak a peek here. Oh, just got a little bit of the knee. So now tables are set. Get the tying run on second. You get the winning run on first. And as a hitter right now, all I'm thinking about is picking the ball up from the pitcher's hand. I try to remove myself away from the situation because it's easy to get excited. So what you have to do, pick it up early. That gives you the best chance to get that hit to be the hero.
It's up to Louder, who has a hit already today. Breaking ball for a strike to a young man the coaching staff says is just the nicest and most coachable player. If they had all of him, they would have a wonderfully coachable team. Huge spot for Louder. In the air, third base side, and out of play.
Well,
down to a final strike.
Tough going for Kip Johnson, the third baseman, over near the camera well. Something that these players aren't used to. All their ballparks, that's just, maybe just a fence and maybe not even that much room. So little different circumstances in foul ground.
Two strikes on Louder. To shortstop, Edmondson the short way, and South Carolina is off to the championship game of the Southeastern Regional. Florida stays alive. The team from Tampa will play in our game tomorrow at 3 Eastern against Mechanicsville, Virginia. But South Carolina, with a run in the 6th, gets the win. The celebrations on for Taylor's South Carolina and Northwood Little League. So close for Florida.
Yeah, they played a great ball game. Came up a little bit short. South Carolina ultimately just a little bit too much for the Florida team.
Final score 5-4. South Carolina with the win. We're joined now by the manager, Kevin Tumblin, for the South Carolina team. Closest game you all have had in the tournament. What do you think of the way your kids reacted?
They just never give up. Never give up. Keep playing hard every inning, every inning, every inning. Never give up. Keep playing hard. That's who they are. That's who they've been all year.
Coach, what can you add to us? You had Alex Edmondson. He came in. We talked about it. Only 20 pitches. He got touched up a little bit today. What do you talk to him about after the ball game?
Well, it was a new role for Alex. He's been a starter for us all season, and to come in that situation, knowing he only had 20 pitches as a reliever, didn't have a chance to warm up much, just something he wasn't used to. But that's not the typical Alex, and that's what you won't see in the championship game. You will see the real Alex then.
What do you think of what Bradley Lewis did for you on the back end?
Oh, it was incredible. Just a big-time change of pace, just throws the off-speed stuff, spots it up well, keeps guys guessing, just a complete opposite of Alex, so we felt like we had a chance with him coming in and doing that.
In terms of your offense, Terrence Gist gives you the game winner. What's he done for you all season long?
That exactly. He struggled a little bit the last couple of games. He's kind of been off and on a little bit. But when you got 2 outs and you need the big hit, Terrence or Alex, we knew would step up. We had both of those guys in there. We knew one of them would get the big hit, and that's exactly what he did.
All right, Coach. Now talk to us just a little bit about, are you going to watch the next game? Or have you think you've got enough of the scouting?
No, you can never get enough scouting. We've been out here watching all the games. We watched them all on the ESPN Watch app. We know what everybody's doing. We study their pitchers. We know what their tendencies are. So we'll be out here just like every other game, watching, learning, seeing what we can pick up tomorrow, plus just letting the kids have a fun day off at the ballpark.
Kevin, thanks for the time. Congratulations on a great win.
Thank you very much.
That's Kevin Tumlin, the manager of Taylor's South Carolina Northwood Little League. They pack up and go to the championship game. Taylor's is on to 5 Eastern on Thursday, ESPN2. They'll face either Florida again or Mechanicsville, Virginia. So that's the lay of the land. The winner of that Thursday game heads to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and the Little League World Series starting on August 20th. We'll wrap things up from Middle Georgia coming up after this. Well, it was down to the wire here in Warner Robins, Georgia. The final out with 2 runners on and 2 down. A ground ball to shortstop from Ryan Lauder, who plugged away deep in the count. Terrence Gist gave him the game winner in the top of the 6th inning. A chopped single through the right-hand side, and that moves Taylor's South Carolina not far from Greenville into the Thursday championship game, 5 Eastern on ESPN2, to face either Tampa or Mechanicsville, Florida or Virginia. And if South Carolina wins this region, it'll be the first time since 1950 a South Carolina team made it to Williamsport in the Little League World Series. So that's exactly what we're looking at as Tampa and Mechanicsville will play. And they've got one more shot, and that's the message you would assume for the Florida side.
Well, fortunate for them, down, but not out. And it sets up a rematch from their second game. They were victorious over Virginia, 8-4, very hard-fought game, very close to the very end. Florida ended up coming up with some runs late in that ball game. But I tell you, this right here is a tough defeat. If you get blown out 6, 7, 8 runs, it's a little bit easier to shrug that off. Here they were so close. They had literally the winning run out at second base in their half of the bottom of the 5th. They scored, then that would have forced Virginia to have to score. Being that close to a win to get to the finals, this is whenever you have to learn how to just forget what happened today, regroup, come out tomorrow as hard as you can.
And maybe, just maybe, remember what you did on Saturday against that Virginia team. But here in this game, Alex Edmondson with a 2-run home run in the 3rd. That got South Carolina on the board to lead 2-0. But then in the bottom of the inning, how about a leadoff solo shot from Austin Grouse? Then an RBI single from Ryan Lauder through the left side to score Keaton Howard. And they just went back and forth all day long with 2s on the board. In the 5th inning, South Carolina scored again thanks to some power. 2-run double from Braden Galinsky made it 4-2. That looked like, and he even thought at second base that was going to be the game winner. Back came the team from Florida. Home run for Koresh off the very difficult to square up Alex Edmondson. And then a run comes home on the Brennan single. Ties the game again. Into the 6th inning we went, and Terrence Gist, the 2-sport player, football and baseball, poked the RBI single to win it, scoring Chapman 5-4. The final score, thanks to this last out, secured by Bradley Lewis by way of his shortstop, Edmondson, and celebration time in the Palmetto State for now. How about what Buffington did to start the game? Then Edmondson provides the offense, and Koresh 2 for 2 for Florida.
Well, when you look at these ball games, obviously there's big points in them. You have to have your stars play well for you to win. But this is all about a team game. This is about everybody contributing. Yes, Buffington, great start. Edmondson with the big home run. They took the bat out of his hands after that. It'll be interesting to see what they'll do in the finals if he'll actually get to swing. But Florida, again, a gritty little team. They have to come back tomorrow after it and do what they can do best.
Well, it's rematch time. That's certainly true. From Saturday, Keystone Little League from Tampa took on this Mechanicsville team. A hearty crowd. And Austin Grouse with a pair of doubles in the game. This one to right field. Scored a couple. Noah the second run there, and Grouse a little tip of the cap to his dugout. He pitched pretty well too. And Austin Grouse in Florida went on to win 8-4. 4 strikeouts in 2 innings for Grouse. Taylor, South Carolina will face the winner of that game. Final thoughts, Mike?
Well, I tell you what, we were treated to an absolute fabulous ball game. If you love baseball, you love Little League baseball, this is the place to be.
Well, they dragged us to the final inning to get a result. South Carolina defeats Florida 5-4, the final score. Up next, PTI. Little League action continues tonight. 9 o'clock from Waco, Texas. A Southwest Regional semifinal. Texas versus Colorado. As we say, for the celebration in South Carolina, good afternoon from Warner Robins. PTI's next.